Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, we discuss my thoughts on Season 2, Episode 8 of One Punch Man. And holy shnikes, man. This episode was all kinds of awesome sauce. It was completely badass, well-paced, just rocked me, had me on the edge of my seat the whole time. And it was really, while I'm not prone to hyperbole, it was really on par with some of the insanity we've been seeing in Season 3, Part 2 of Attack on Titan, which has just been all out and out, insanity in the 10 episodes we have of Season 3, Part 2 of Attack on Titan. Just every single episode has been insane of that series, and this episode of One Punch Man Season 2 felt so on par with that. From the badassery of Suryu going up against these monsters who have now overtaken the martial arts tournament, sort of facility, this whole place, and with the big bad sort of monster representative being the former winner of the martial arts tournament the year before, whatever it was. He's now monsterfied, and he's coming along with this mission statement. We find out that the Monster Association has had a 3-tier plan, going out into the world and messing crap up, kidnapping someone associated with the Hero Association, and then transforming by force people, human beings, whether they be heroes or martial artists in this tournament, transforming them and trying to sort of, I guess you could say, seduce them into the idea of more power, of being able to, use that power and ability freely to just destroy on a whim and kill on a whim freely, all that kind of stuff. Just seduce that perverted nature within humanity, that dark, deep center, And they've been successful at all 3 of these tiers thus far, to varying degrees of success, admittedly. But it goes without saying, the monsters come into this arena, and they're like, "You survivors, you're gonna become monsters, or you're gonna die on the spot." And they wipe the floor with most of them. A couple of them take the bait and eat the monster cells. And this is where we see just how powerful Suryu actually is, because he's holding his own with the first sort of wave. One takes the other out, and then Suryu steps up to the plate, and he's taking them out, left, right, and center. And I was like, I'm backing him. I'm like, hell yes. You may have been sort of the antagonist to Saitama in the previous episode. I was rooting for Saitama, of course. But now I'm rooting Suryu. I'm like, kick these monsters' asses, and he was effectively doing that. At least for a time, if not indefinitely. This episode souped me the hell up, too, with heroes that we saw coming back. The more recognizable ones, of course, Snakebite Snack, Lightning Max, Tank Top Master, Moomin Rider. Over in the hospital, there was just this really resounding moment where the heroes started coming out of the woodwork to answer to what the monsters were doing. And I absolutely loved it. There's that one shot where you have Suryu, Max, and Snack. They're like all together, and they're gonna go after, this big bad. The name is slipping my mind, but he had all these like Raven lessers of, like his posse or whatever. And because they took the monster cells, they became mindless monsters because they didn't have, I don't know, enough identity, enough strength within them to hold on to their sense of identity. And so they just became sort of lemming monsters that would, react to his command and that kind of thing. And so, you have these 3 heroes effectively. I mean, Suryu, I don't know if you could necessarily consider him a hero, but he's definitely strong enough to be one. And the 3 of them working together was badass. Seeing Tank Top Master helping Moomin Rider, dispatch the one monster from the hospital, and then extending his hand to Moomin and helping him along. It was just, this is what the heroes are about. They're supposed to be saving the day. And then, as if that wasn't enough to get up the adrenaline and the excitement, suddenly all bets are off with Bakuzan becoming a monster. He ate like all the rest of the monster cells, and at first it seemed to just kill him. It seemed to slay him. And Suryu was thinking, oh, well, good, I only have, the one big bad to now deal with. Suddenly Bakuzan, gets up off the floor, and he is a complete monster. I think part of the association I had watching this episode, reminding me so much of Attack on Titan and how balls to the wall insane Season 3 Part 2 of that has been thus far, is because when Bakuzan turned into a monster, from certain angles, he reminded me heavily of the Beast Titan. The furry face and then the gritted, sort of fang teeth and everything like that. The shot I used, the screen cap I used for the thumbnail of this review discussion video, is his holding up, Suryu, and like, just, he looks so much like the Beast Titan in that shot. I was like, oh man, this is so reminding me of Attack on Titan Season 3 Part 2. In all its badassery and all its awesome sauceness and everything like that. But they really turned the tables because it was almost like a sequence out of Attack on Titan, with Suryu having his, just body completely and utterly smoldered and debilitated. And he's on the ground, and when he shrieks out that cry for help, that like awakening idea in his mind that I need help, I need heroes to come help me, any hero, please hear my plea, come help me. When he shrieks, I was like, wow. It took me back to so many of those deaths strewn across Attack on Titan, the series, when a giant Titan grabbed one of our humans, and we've seen a couple of those already in Season 3, Part 2 of the series as well. So I was just gobsmacked when Suryu, he's down and out, and it's his last sort of, desperate cry. And at that point, I'm like, okay, are they going to end? They're probably going to end on a cliffhanger, but what's the cliffhanger going to be? I'm like formulating in my mind. Is it going to be that nobody answers the call, and it's going to be Bakuzan just before he slams his foot down on Suryu for the last time? Or is Saitama going to be the one who shows up? Because I was thinking the whole time, all this, episode, I'm like, Saitama couldn't have gotten that far. He did take off running, but he couldn't have gotten that far away. Surely he's going to be the one who comes back and answers to the toll these monsters have taken effect on all these martial artists and things like that. And Suryu, who's the last man standing. And sure enough, he shows up. He finally shows up just before the end of the episode. And it was enough. It was enough for me. Like, I had already been riding the roller coaster of adrenaline and emotions and excitement and twists and turns of all the wows in the episode. But then, even though I called it and I sort of suspected Saitama would be the one to end the episode at, a cliffhanger point, when he was there, it was so resounding because it came on the coattails of Suryu screaming bloody murder and really being helpless, well and truly helpless, after seeing how strong he was and how toe-to-toe he matched the monsters in the early portion of the episode, to now see him so debilitated and so helpless. It was like, it has to be the grand hero. It has to be the titular hero, the One Punch Man, Saitama, or Caped Baldy, as he's known, via the Hero Association. And sure enough, they answered to that, and it was pitch perfect. This entire episode, the pacing, the plotting, the characterization, the realizations on Suryu's part, going back and forth against these martial artists turned monsters, and they're infighting against themselves, and sort of getting more insights into the grand plan of the Monster Association. And then Saitama being there at the end, in the end, a la, the cavalry over the hill, Captain America, Iron Man, in the end game against Thanos. It was just goosebumps inducing. It was just spectacular. This whole episode was spectacular. Probably my favorite episode of Season 2 of One Punch Man thus far. And again, I'm not prone to hyperbole. I'm not trying to oversell the episode or my reaction to it. I was gobsmacked and had a blast with this episode. And I almost wonder if it's going to be downhill from here. For however many episodes we have left for the season, presumably 11, 12, something like that. I don't know if it's going to get as resounding as it's been, but who knows, because we still have, the head, the lead monster of the Monster Association to be taken on, that kind of thing. We did have Garo again in this episode, going up against the one dog guy. For some reason I can't ever remember that character's name, but we saw how strong he too was as a Class S hero. And Garo sort of, I guess you could say, he sort of held back a little bit and had to realize and appreciate the fact that here this dog dude was actually much faster and much stronger than he had first anticipated. He took out all the monsters that interrupted Garo's attack on him in the previous episode, and so Garo's kind of like, okay, how am I going to deal with this? And so it leaves it open, the door open to my speculation that maybe Garo will have to, inadvertently team up with Saitama in this attack against the monsters alongside the heroes. It would be actually pretty classic if they subverted expectations for somebody like myself who hasn't read the source material and has no idea how this is going to play out. Just speculative-wise, it would be awesome sauce if Garo finally sort of had an awakening, a rude awakening. Like, maybe teamwork is actually the way to go. Maybe it's not about being the biggest, baddest ass. Maybe I can be that and still be a hero and still do good. Although that would probably break down his character altogether because he's been very monster-like. For all I know, he could be the oncoming big bad. Maybe he has a confrontation with the Monster Association and they give him monster cells and then he consumes them and he becomes a humongous Garo monster, that Saitama and the heroes have to contend with. And that too would be spectacular, a spectacular way to go. Because, they're really selling the idea that it's supposed to be Garo is the big bad, but then you have the Monster Association. Could be they are just a sideline and Garo still is well and truly the big bad that is meant to be, and how this is all going to culminate is going to be with going up against him. I don't really know. But after this episode, all bets are off. I love One Punch Man. I love the whole first season. I have loved every minute of the second season thus far, even though there has been certain issues with the animation and things like that. As I've said in the comments in reaction to some of you guys, I basically said, as long as the entertainment value and the story and the plotting, the characterization is A level or S level, S class, that kind of thing, that's what I'm here for. I can palate poor animation not on par with the quality of the first season, if the story's good and the action's good and the momentum and the pacing. And there was only one misstep episode thus far in season 2 for me that I felt, didn't really resound and was kind of all over the place. But this one, it's like, this one couldn't have been any more on point for me, in contrast to that other episode. So I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of episode 8 of season 2 of One Punch Man. If you've seen it as well, if it got you as juiced as it did me, if you were as excited by it, adrenaline pumping by it as I was. Love it or hate it, anything goes in the comments below, as long as you are respectable, sharing your opinion, and are respectful of others if they happen to disagree. And if you enjoyed this video and would like to consider supporting my channel, please have a look at my PayPal support link, posted both in the description as well as the comments below. It affords you opportunities very much akin to Patreon, where you can set up a monthly recurring contribution, a one-time only contribution, or you can send me a personal message alongside any contribution you send my way, requesting topics I may discuss in the future, ask for shout-outs, or make recommendations of things I may check out, and would inevitably shout you out down the line if I happen to discuss. And anything you saw fit to send my way would be 2 thumbs up for me in securing my longevity on YouTube for the foreseeable future, and I would just really appreciate it. So yeah, otherwise, until the next one, that'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later.